What if I told you that this year, the difference between the Pixel 10 and the Pixel 10 Pro XL isn't the AI or the chip. They share the same brain. The real story is in the hardware Google didn't give the standard model. We're talking about a massive gap in camera quality, display tech, and future-proof features. Is the Pro label really worth an extra £400 or dollars? Let's find out. Welcome back to MazTechCentral, where I like to keep tech simple and accessible for everyone. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Let's start with the unboxing. The Pixel 10 kicks off at £799 or dollars, and for that, you get 120 gigs of storage. Pixel Pro 10 XL, however, starts at £1,199 or dollars, but it also gives you 256 gigs right out the box. So that £400 gap gets a little smaller when you factor in the storage bump. And of course, no charge in the box for either. Thanks a lot. First impressions? The Pixel 10 feels compact and light with its matte aluminium frame and glossy glass back. Try saying that 100 times in a row. The Pixel 10 Pro XL, though, instantly feels more premium. It's heavier, yes, but the polished aluminium frame and the matte glass back feel incredible and do a much better job of hiding fingerprints. From the front, they look like family, but the displays are in two different leagues. The Pixel 10 has a 6.3-inch Actua OLED display with a refresh rate of 60 to 120 Hz. It has a peak brightness of 3000 nits. The Pixel 10 Pro XL, however, has a 6.8-inch Super Actua LTPO OLED with a refresh rate of 1 to 120 Hz. It has a peak brightness of 3300. Let me break that down. The Pixel 10 display is fantastic, sharp, bright, and smooth at up to 120 Hz refresh rate, meaning scrolling feels snappy and animations are fluid. It's genuinely one of the best panels at this price. But the Pixel 10 Pro XL, it takes things up a notch. The Super Actua display is sharper, more vibrant, and has a peak brightness of 3300 nits. That's noticeably better outdoors in bright sunlight. A big difference though is LTPO technology on the Pixel 10 Pro XL. This allows the screen to drop its refresh rate all the way down to 1 Hz. When viewing static content like emails or photos. Pixel 10 can only drop to 60 Hz minimum. What does that mean for you? Well, the Pixel 10 Pro XL's bigger, brighter, sharper screen can actually save more battery than the Pixel 10's. It's smoother, smarter, and feels much more next-gen. Both phones use Google's new Tensor G5 chip, built on TSMC's 3nm process. Like many thought, including myself, this was supposed to be the magic bullet for Pixel's performance and battery efficiency. It has a CPU performance of up to 34% faster and up to 60% better AI performance. Better modem integration for stable connections, which I think everyone was asking for. In everyday use, both phones feel fast and fluid. Opening apps, switching tasks, and using AI features is seamless. But here's the catch. In benchmarks, the Tensor G5 performs about on par with last year's Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip, but it's still behind the latest Snapdragon 8 Elite found in rival flagships. So for gaming or raw performance, there are faster options out there. Where the Pixel 10 Pro XL really pulls ahead of its smaller sibling is in memory, storage, and connectivity. 16 GB of RAM versus 12 GB on the Pixel 10. Means better multitasking and a more seamless experience with AI. It has something called zoned UFS storage versus the UFS 3.1 that you get on the Pixel 10. Let me explain. UFS 3.1 is already fast, don't get me wrong, but zoned UFS breaks files into smaller zones so the phone can read and write data more efficiently. This means apps open quicker, big files transfer faster, and overall performance feels more smoother on the Pixel 10 Pro XL. And then there's connectivity. The Pixel 10 Pro XL gets Wi-Fi 7 and an ultra-wideband chip. The Pixel 10 gets Wi-Fi 6E, but no ultra-wideband chip. Wi-Fi 7 means faster, more stable wireless connection, provided you have a compatible router. UWB or ultra-wideband enables precise location tracking, things like digital car keys and better Find My support in the Find Hub app. The Pixel 10 will still work perfectly fine today, there's no doubt, but the Pixel 10 Pro XL, in my opinion, is better prepared for the future. This is where Google draws the boldest line between the two phones. For the Pixel 10, here's what you get: a 48 megapixel main camera, a 13 megapixel ultra-wide camera, and a 10.8 5x telephoto camera, which is the first time ever on a non-Pro Pixel, up to 20 times super res zoom, and a 10.5 megapixel front camera. Now that's a solid setup, and in daylight, the results are excellent. Colors are vibrant, details are sharp, and having a 5x optical telephoto lens on the base Pixel is a huge deal for zoom shots. But there's a catch. To squeeze in the telephoto lens and keep the price low, Google used smaller sensors for the main and ultra-wide cameras. Now, smaller sensors equal less light captured, which equal to more noise and less detail, especially in low light. Now, the Pixel 10 Pro XL has a 50 megapixel main camera with a much larger sensor, a 48 megapixel ultra-wide with built-in macro mode for those really close-up shots, and a 48 megapixel 5x telephoto camera. It has up to 100 times ProRes zoom and a 42 megapixel front camera with autofocus. The Pixel 10 Pro XL's larger sensors mean better detail, cleaner low light shots, and more flexibility. Its ultra-wide doubles as a macro lens, letting you get crazy close to subjects. And the 42 megapixel selfie camera is a huge upgrade, perfect for creators or video calls. As for the 100 times zoom on the Pixel 10 Pro XL, honestly, it's great for reading faraway signs or getting up close to buildings. But for faces or things like trees, you'll get a weird AI painted look. The real pro camera perks are manual controls over shutter speed, ISO and focus, ability to shoot full 50 megapixel resolution, and 12-bit color capture for smoother editing flexibility. The Pixel 10 Pro XL has a 5,200 mAh battery versus the 4,970 mAh battery found on the Pixel 10. Sounds close, right? But charging is where the differences show. The Pixel 10 Pro XL has 45 watts wired charging versus the 30 watts found on the Pixel 10. And wirelessly, the Pixel 10 Pro XL can charge 25 watts wirelessly versus the 15 watts wireless charging found on the Pixel 10. With the right charger, the Pixel 10 Pro XL gets to 70% in around half an hour. The Pixel 10, around 55% in the same time. Both phones last roughly a day, but the Pixel 10 Pro XL charges faster and handles power more efficiently, thanks to a smarter LTPO display. Now let's talk Qi 2 wireless charging. Google calls it Pixel Snap. Think of Qi 2 as an upgraded MagSafe style system. The magnets make sure the charger snaps perfectly into place, so charging is faster, more efficient, and works seamlessly with MagSafe accessories like wallets, stands, and car mounts. Google also added a battery health feature. After around 200 charge cycles, the phone automatically limits the maximum charge to help the battery last longer. You can't turn this off, and yeah, it's a bit controversial. So after all that, who should buy which phone? This year, the choice is clearer than ever. The Pixel 10 is for the Google purist on a budget. You're here for the clean software, the clever AI features, and you're excited to finally get a telephoto lens on the standard Pixel. But you have to be okay with knowing that the main and ultra-wide cameras are a hardware downgrade. It's great software experience in a good but compromised hardware package. The Pixel 10 Pro XL is for the person who refuses to compromise on hardware. You might be a photographer who will actually use the bigger sensors and manual controls. You want the best possible display, and you're investing for the long term with features like Wi-Fi 7 and ultra-wideband. That £400 or dollar isn't just for the bigger screen. It's for a fundamentally more capable and future-proof phone. I think anyway. For me, the gap has never been wider. The Pixel 10 Pro XL is a proper flagship. The Pixel 10 is a smart compromise. Is the £400 or dollar jump worth it for your wallet? That's where things get interesting. Stick around for my full review where I'll break down the real-world value and help you decide which one to buy. If you enjoyed what you saw, click the like button and hit subscribe. And stay tuned for more videos coming up. I'm going to put these phones right back in their cases before my anxiety kicks in. I'm Maz, and this is MazTechCentral, where I like to keep things simple and accessible for all. Catch you in the next one.